Season. What's up, chat? How are we doing today? Don't answer. I don't actually care. Nobody cares how you're doing. Because I have autism spectrum, when people are like, how are you doing? I still, even when I know that they don't actually mean that, I still reflexively answer like my honest update of my fucking situation as if they actually care. I'm like, I think I'd rate myself an 8 out of 10 today. Maybe a 7 out of 10. Just reply fine. Just be like, same old, same old. Nobody who asks you how you're doing want to know how you're actually doing, especially if you're like, I'm doing horrible. I woke up and, you know, I had testicular torsion and I thought I was gonna die because my nutsack was twisted and stuff like that. Nobody wants to hear that, you know. Although I want to hear that. That's fucking awesome if that happens. Want to hear everything about your testicular torsion. If we have any testicular torsion chads in chat, make sure to notify everyone about the experience. Not you, Hystrixia. How may I direct your call? And they ask, how are you? I ignore it and literally just repeat, how may I direct your call? Also known as get to the fucking point since you do not care how I am, LOL. This is why pretty much every phone call service has that initial thing where you have to go through like pressing the automatic buttons to get you to the fucking department instead of hiring people. I don't know what company you work for, but the fact that they still hire people at the initial stage means they're probably a pretty, you know, relatively okay company instead of the ones where you have to go through 5 minutes of automatic menus before you can get to the person. Although I understand why they have that shit because, you know, as shitty as those companies are, I also agree that 90% of people who have to call tech support or whatever are also fucking retarded, so it's only natural for them to try and make it as difficult as possible for you to actually speak to someone. Call center has to be one of the worst jobs ever. Everyone I've talked to says it's painful. Yes. I work at a hotel. Just tell me what you want. You want to book a room? You want to ask about amenities? Is it amenities or amenities? I think it's amenities, right? Don't ask how I am when you don't care. Just tell me what you want. You should just be like, I'm fine. And then hang up. Show them. It's like, are we done with our call now? Yeah. I answered. They asked me how I was doing and I told them. So I assumed our conversation was over. Did you see that I dreamt about you? Yes, but similar to me asking how you guys are doing today, I also don't care about your fucking dream about me unless it's actually like an interesting dream. Don't insult yourself considering your tech support track record. Considering I don't actually ever call tech support, I'm doing pretty good. I don't expect tech support to solve any of my problems, and I've been able to solve the majority of my own tech support issues. So despite my general inability to get shit done on my computer. Eventually I figure shit out myself. Call center jobs are like fast food. They all suck and are not meant to be a career. Or they're meant to be a career for poor people stuck in India who are slaving. They have like two options: tech support slave job or literal slave job working in the sugar plantation or whatever. I don't recall much, so I don't know. See, this is what I'm fucking talking about. When I have dreams and I like actually post them in chat, they're like high quality dreams with like an entire plot. Like the time that I was walking around in a public bathroom and Joe Biden kept on getting in my way of trying to piss. And it turned out that the reason why he was getting in the way of me pissing is probably a separate part of my subconscious trying to remind me that I shouldn't piss my pants because I'm actually in my bed. I'm not in a public bathroom. So I guess old Joe was looking out for me. He's like, Baal, you're not in a toilet at all. It was just weird that I dreamt of a streamer. The dream I had last night was I was working as a manager in a NFL Super Bowl team, and people were preparing for the fucking Super Bowl and leaving the locker room, and I was noticing that pretty much every one of the public restrooms in the locker room was fucking clogged, and there was just like a shit ton of toilet paper and unflushed shit in it. And I was like, Jesus, this locker room is in a horrible situation. I'm glad it's not my job to clean all of these fucking clogged toilets. Which tells you a lot about what we expect out of our public restrooms. Still on the same page, never going to be a real mangaka at this page. Well, I was doing A, other pages. B, when I saw that the ending was actually in sight, I suddenly lost all energy the last like 1.5 days since the previous stream, and I fucking crashed. And I was just like, and I spent like 6 hours just lying in bed reading isekai novels on my phone. So you can't blame me. I've been pushing hard, so when I saw the end of the road, I was like, so. I love when people come into a private building and ask to use a public bathroom. We don't have one. Fuck off. Looks like it's time for me to pull out the old shit on the floor technique. I love how now that we have all these anti-theft cameras in stores, we can record all the times when there's like these professional shitters who are like, I have to shit, and then they just confirm that there aren't anybody around them, and they just pull down their pants and just like shit on the floor, and then just walk away like no one will ever notice. That's a real pro move right there. Joe Rogan versus Joe Biden. At this point, I would literally rather vote for Joe Rogan than Joe Biden or Trump at this point. Although I feel like Joe Rogan has just as high a chance of like suddenly dying in office as Biden or Trump, considering like he's always like, I was using LSD or something, so. Actually, I'm kidding. That's definitely not true. As much as I'm fucking sick of Joe Biden, it's not as bad as Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan is incredibly cringe. I don't understand why he's like literally the most popular podcaster in history or whatever the fuck. What do people find so entertaining about him? I tried listening to a Joe Rogan podcast like once or twice to see what was so great about it, and I fucking couldn't stand it. I don't understand the appeal. Constrictor, stop spinning right now. Most accurate information podcast. I just don't get it. He's like an everyman basic jock and his guests make the show. I guess I'm actually, my IQ is actually too high to enjoy Joe Rogan. I think that's the problem. Joe Rogan is a containment center. Yeah, seems about right. The idea that the most popular thing is the highest quality thing has been disproven many, many times. In fact, if you go by what's most popular to the broadest number of people, often what you just get is evidence that people are generally pretty fucking stupid and have no taste, so it's not really good evidence of anything. Although I do eat at McDonald's and I like One Piece. So those are the two things where it's like the food analogy of the most popular thing being actually shit. McDonald's. I'll do like McDonald's. And probably the most popular manga. I still like One Piece, so... IQ above 87, maybe too much to enjoy it. It's not like I absolutely hated him. It's just that I don't know. I didn't really see any much value in listening to Joe Rogan, I guess. You could have him holding a beer bottle and sitting on a sofa with a TV blasting sports inhumanely loud and it would be the same thing. Average Call of Duty mic experience right there. If you just add like one kid yelling in the background, yelling racial slurs in the background, and like another father telling him to shut the fuck up, that's your average Call of Duty experience. Also a lot of muffled rap going on a different person's speaker. Don't forget the barking dog. And then there's always like one guy who's trying to talk shit, but there's not enough people who are properly paying attention that even the shit talking is just like not working. Child whining to their mom in the background. Those are always the funnest ones to listen to. My favorite ones are the child whining to their mom in the background. Oh, one thing I especially like is it's like the father who's playing the Call of Duty, and then the kid's like, "Dad, I need you to help me with my homework," and he's like, "Shut the fuck up, son. I'm busy right now." I'm like, LMAO. This is the American parenting experience. The father is the one playing video games. You are shitting yourself! Not yet. Not yet, Mom. Not yet. The mom will come and yell at the dad, "What the fuck is wrong with you today? Don't you have work tomorrow? Just shut up, bitch!" It's like, ah, yes, Call of Duty voice chat. I'm home. You know, I complain a lot about how video games aren't as the way they used to be and how their quality has gone down. But it's always good to feel like you can turn on the Call of Duty voice chat and get the same exact fucking experience as you got in like 2008. It's just like, ah, yes, some things don't change. Timmy is still barking at people. Sports ball. I've been watching a lot of sports ball these past 2 weeks or 3 weeks or so because I've actually invested in watching the NBA playoffs, and I'm kind of getting bored because unfortunately I'm afraid that the Boston Celtics are just going to straight up waltz the finals and then maybe get destroyed by Denver or something. If we stop these people from breeding, the birth rate will plummet. There's no way to stop them from breeding because they don't know how to use condoms, and they definitely aren't making any sort of family planning options, so we're powerless in front of their breeding powers. Unfortunately, half of their children they produce aren't going to be valuable members of society and instead be on welfare, so it's not like we need people to breed, but we don't necessarily need the people who are playing Call of Duty as either. It's a difficult balance. Just add more microplastics. Don't worry, we've got that covered, guys. The microplastics are not the problem. We have enough microplastics in the water. We have more than enough microplastics. The state literally won't let them abort either. True. Although half of them probably are just gonna self-abort the kid by using like drugs and shit. And I don't mean like the abortion drugs, I mean by using meth or something, so just pray the offspring kill themselves with alcohol or drugs or stupid decisions. What's actually gonna happen is they're just gonna commit enough felonies that they'll get like 15 years in the for-profit prison run by the state, and your tax dollars will go to the corporation that makes $1 billion a year taking care of all these people in the prison complex. There's so many fucking capitalistic inefficiencies in American society. The fact that anything even functions moderately at this point says a lot about how much just like giga wealth the country has. Like Japan is way more functional than America, but it's still like somehow poorer because they just don't have as much money. There's a reason why America won World War II. They just have shit tons more money in general. Blasting trap on Spotify 24/7. Yes. Discord opioid addicts who read bait journalism website covering trivial bullshit and watch brain-rotting YouTube shorts. Also, make sure that they read my content and give me Patreon bucks. Unfortunately, my content is too high IQ for these people, so anything that involves reading, they're probably not going to actually read, so it's a little too dark. Kojima predicted the military-industrial complex, PogChamp. I do think that one thing that Kojima was wrong was about how, with digital media, our memes and data will remain online forever instead of getting lost. And thus we need the Patriots to control the information and decide what needs to be kept and what needs to be thrown away and stuff like that. That doesn't seem to be something that the Patriots needs to worry about. Because, like, shit gets lost on the internet all the time. It just, like, disappears into the dark web after a while. Especially stuff like video games. Anything that has some sort of corporation-run online server set up can easily get lost forever. And it's very hard to back that shit up. Just give Patreon bucks to your favorite AI prompter making Jujutsu Kaisen lewds. Not as much Jujutsu Kaisen lewds as you would think. The Kojima predicting shit, I was actually thinking about that stuff just yesterday while I was washing the dishes. I spend way too much time thinking about what Kojima predicted and what he didn't, actually. Every day, I spend more time thinking about Kojima's brilliance. It's only natural. Internet archives is proof there's tons of media that would be gone if it wasn't documented, even during the internet age. Yes. A lot of that shit doesn't need to be documented, but some of it does. The end of civilization by mass information, unfiltered garbage, information being uncontrollable. AI being used to mass produce incorrect information, I think, is like a legitimate problem. It's way worse than just, you know, a bunch of unneeded memes and stuff taking up space. I do wonder if at some point places like Pixiv and shit will just straight up start mass deleting AI tagged images and stuff to conserve server space, because it used to be like you had a lot of people uploading shitty images, but you can only draw so many things. But now that you have the AI prompters uploading sets of like 200 images at a time every single fucking day, at some point I do wonder if they're just going to be like, this isn't worth the server costs, we're just going to fucking erase all of your shit. Surely Pixiv will upgrade their servers copium. I mean, which do you think is more likely, that they'll at some point upgrade their servers, or they're just like gonna fucking delete all the AI tag shit? The problem is Pixiv already allowed stuff like all the 3D CG porn made using Aikatsu or whatever it's called, and other forms of, you know, non-drawing, non-human stuff. But even those people spend a lot more time working on their shit than the AI prompters who just, you know, upload shit 300 images at a time, so... Was Pixiv ever fast? I mean, it's fast on my computer. Whenever PC users complain about speed and shit, I don't know what kind of standards they're basing their opinions on. Because they're like, I need 400 FPS to play my video games, and also if I don't expect a page to load within like half a second, I'm fucking angry, so I don't know. All this junk data preserved in... let me do the MGS2 voice. All this junk data preserved in an unfiltered state, growing at an alarming rate. It will only slow down social progress, reduce the rate of evolution. And we have to put like a skull in my codec call. Colonel? Are you saying that AI prompted art will overwhelm the internet? That's right, Snake. Human innovation can't keep up with the AI machines. The Honey Select uploads are necessary for my dick. I like some of the Honey Select content, but realistically I've only found one or two people worth saving. One of them is called Momi OG, and he does elaborate stories about female adventurers getting swallowed by mimic treasure chest and tentacle fucked. So he's one of like of two artists I support on Pixiv. I respect his dedication to the craft, but I haven't really found many other people who are good with the Aikatsu stuff. You have to talk about Scissor69, Purple Starfish. Only one post on BaalBud BB this year. Truly the darkest timeline. I'm not drawing porn unless you give people fucking commission me. It's not worth my time. Looking at AI art is a bit discouraging, especially as an amateur artist. Yes. But it's important to remember that as an amateur artist, people weren't going to pay attention to what you were doing to begin with, so... I do often look at some of the quality of the AI porn I look at, and I'm like, man, if they can produce all this shit so easily, and the quality is so high, why should I even, like, try? But then as a masturbator, I'll masturbate to AI one day, and I'm like, this is good enough. But then, like, the next day, I'm like, nah, I have to masturbate to, like, handcrafted manga. The AI quality isn't enough now. So, you know, it's not like one or the other. Your dick is constantly needs more, so... There is no limit to our desire as masturbators. Doesn't have the soul of a handcrafted piece. I think AI prompted images can have soul if the person who's prompting it had a very specific thing that they had in mind and went through a lot of different variations to make sure they got exactly what they wanted, and they have a very strong dedication and resolution toward like a very specific image, and they planned it out, and they were like, I have to have Makima stepping on my cock in a very specific way. I think it can have some amount of soul, because ultimately soul, I feel, is just like, it's you feeling the personality of the artist through the screen. The problem is that 99% of AI prompters don't really have that level of dedication or idea of what they want to do. They don't even know what they want to say. They're just copying other prompters. Fun fact, there's a BB art style AI model. Get it to draw it for me. I'm fucking sick of all this drawing. The misery of a real artist adds extra seasoning to the art. There's a reason why all the famous painters' drawings are worth more when they fucking die. Because people are like, holy shit, this guy died because he starved in a back alley of Paris with like 18 different cases of syphilis. That's so fucking inspiring. Are we talking about this because of the stupid ass Photoshop ad? No, we talk about AI pretty regularly. Even if there isn't any special news. Van Gogh chopping his ear off before he heroed really adds extra flavor. His paintings definitely wouldn't be worth as much as they are if he got like an extra 30 years where he was a happy and productive artist and painted a lot of shit. Instead, he fucking killed himself, and everyone's like, "Yay! This painting is worth $1 billion now! Hooray!" Hystrixia, how would you feel if the guy that you always thought was kind of cute sent you his fucking ear in the mail? I believe that's what he was doing, right? Did he send it to a woman that he liked, or was it just like someone in general? I can't remember. And was it like the entire ear, or was it just like part of his ear? How was your weekend? I have no weekends, guys. Every day is the same for me. Do you think Van Gogh would have been fine if he had drugs? Probably not. He's probably the type of person who's like, he would be prescribed drugs, and then like he would be okay for a while, and then he'd be like, I'm going off the drugs. I feel so much better. I feel like myself now. And then he'd like kill himself like a week later. We don't know how much of the ear, I think, sent his whole ear and it was to a local prostitute. Which you think is a more romantic gesture if you're a woman? A guy sending you his ear, or a guy shooting Reagan to get your attention? Which would like make your heart flutter more? Shooting Reagan. On the other hand, he didn't actually successfully kill Reagan, so that's always a problem there. The girl would have truly fallen for him if, or Jodie Foster would have fallen for him if he had successfully assassinated Reagan, but, you know, you can't have everything. Shooting Reagan and then watching him burn in hell? My. Someone doesn't like Reagan. I'm pretty indifferent about Reagan, to be honest. Although he's definitely responsible for, like, America's decline. He's like the first step in America's general decline. But even then... You can buy the Reagan shooter's art on eBay. Support your local artist. Would you rather have Hitler's art or the Reagan shooter's art? Or George W.'s art? Those are your three options, guys. You don't get Van Gogh's art. You need $1 billion for that. Reagan was the greatest POTUS there ever was. Reaganomics and college tuition made the U.S. so much better. Kekona. I think the funny thing about the Kekonas is like 90% of them don't actually know what Reagan was doing. They've just been told that they have to mythologize Reagan, and then they just sort of follow without even like thinking about shit at all. It's just like, it's more of a loyalty test than anything based on any kind of like objective reasoning for why Reagan is a good president. They've just been told a million times that Reagan is like the dawn of America or whatever, so press X to sell drugs to Nicaragua. Let's be honest though, pretty much every US president has done like sketchy shit like that, because it's like the CIA isn't going to do it every administration, so until there's a president who just straight up gets rid of the CIA, that's going to happen in every single administration. And if they do try and get rid of the CIA, they'll get shot like JFK or something. Just kidding. The CIA definitely did not assassinate JFK. That's just a theory, haha. Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter wasn't really in office long enough to do anything. Still probably our best president in a very long time. I feel like we've honestly had 5 terms of Obama at this point. Because we had 2 terms of Obama, and then we had Trump, which was basically a continuation of Obama, except the opposite. Because the only reason he got voted into office was because enough Kekonas were just like, fuck Obama so hard that they went the exact opposite way and had to have like the opposite of Obama. So we got like another term of Obama, just the opposite. And then we got Joe Biden, who's the only reason he got into office was because he was Obama's vice president. And now we get another term of Obama, or not Obama, of Trump or Biden. So we're basically going to get like 5 terms of Obama. It's kind of crazy if you think about it. He truly mind-fucked the country in a way that I don't think anyone was... I don't think the first black president was just like... It was like the equivalent of all the BBC porn that people look at on the internet all the time. It truly broke people's brains. Thanks, Obama. And Obama's policies were basically fucking middle of the road, extremely milquetoast boring shit. And people were like, oh my god, he's forcing us to have health insurance. You know what that means, boys? Civil war. And it's not even particularly good health insurance. It's like the most basic level of like insurance companies can't take you off their program once you get cancer and shit. And people are like, oh my god, what has become of this great country? I don't want free healthcare. We don't really get free healthcare if you have any sort of income, unfortunately. Euros don't understand this. America doesn't have like... America has 2 versions of free healthcare. It has free healthcare for the super poor, which is like basically below poverty line, and it has healthcare for the old, because baby boomers are their own like protected special class that gets Social Security and Medicare, but other people don't get it for some reason. For some reason, everybody above 65 in America is like a weird version of aristocracy where they get all these weird-ass benefits that nobody else is going to get. I see you added the MILF reference. I thought that it wasn't obvious enough. I assume most of my readers will understand that MILF stands for MILF plus ELF, but, you know, not everyone is that intelligent. Not everyone has that level of IQ, you know. Social Security is going to run out of money in like 2032 or something. I personally have no sort of delusions that I will be ever able to get any kind of Social Security, despite all the money I'm paying into it. Fuck that. My mother better give me a shit ton of inheritance or something, because if she doesn't, then yeah, I ain't getting that Social Security bucks. This is why I'm still living in my mother's house, to try and leech off the maximum amount of money I can from her while it's possible. Because whatever benefits she's getting as a giga boomer are not going to be trickling down to me. Have you ever thought about moving to Europe? You must be new to this stream. I have dual citizenship with Japan, so I have my escape plan ready already. The only reason I haven't activated it yet is because I get to live off of my mother parasitically in her house, where she doesn't ask me to pay rent or any of the energy bills or for food, so you can't really beat that shit. Yes, my escape plan is going to Japan, and hopefully they'll keep the exchange rate at 150 yen for the dollar, although I don't think that will happen, but it's looking pretty good for now. How do you even get Japanese citizenship? You need to have Japanese parents. My mother is Japanese, so... if you're born in America, you get American citizenship for being there, and if your parents are Japanese, then you get Japanese citizenship for that. Although, based on my age, if I was born slightly earlier, I wouldn't have gotten my Japanese citizenship, because you don't get it if it's your mother's side. If you were born in like 84, 83 or something like that, before that, because women aren't people, they don't really count. It's a man-only privilege, and then they had to change that like right before I was born, so I kind of dodged a bullet on that one. Lame. Just feel bad that you were tempted by the serpent and are inherently a sinner. Well, so is Asperger's worth Japanese citizenship? Those two things are unrelated. Asperger's is probably coming from my father's side. And he definitely was not like the one who was choosing to breed with my mother. She was the one who chose him. I will not. The snake had cool shit. See, as usual, the female refuses to repent. And thus we are expelled from the Garden of Eden, as usual. I haven't really been using my Japanese citizenship that much, to be honest, since I became an adult. But yeah, I can go to Japan and work without having to get a work visa, so... Thanks, Femoids. Yes. Working in Japan is death. Depends on what job you get, but 99% of the time it fucking sucks. You die if you work. To be honest, you can also die if you work pretty much anywhere, so... Americans work similar hours to Japanese, though, at least on paper. Japanese have all this unrecorded service overtime in which they're asked to clock out and then continue working for another, like, 10 hours because they're fucking slaves. But America isn't that much better, to be honest. A lot of Americans work similar hours to Japanese. Would you adhere to Japanese work culture? No, I'd use my gaijin card and pretend that, like, I'm not willing to do that shit. I'd be like, oh, thank you, Yamamoto-san. Please work overtime instead of me. I don't understand that you're vaguely hinting that I should stay overtime with you and work the same hours as you, and I'll just go home instead. And they're like, he doesn't understand, he's a gaijin, when I completely understand. I look white enough that I can pull the gaijin card when I want to, so that's what I'll be doing. 500 IQ plays. I have Asperger's anyways, so if any of the Japanese middle management is like, you should go drinking with us, I'd be like, haha, no. And they'll probably insinuate that I won't get promoted if I don't properly do my nomunication, which is drink communication. And I'll just be like, haha, no. Can you pog hype in Japanese, please? Pogu hype? Pogu champu? Is that required, or are the workers just too spineless? In general, it's just the workers are just too spineless. Japanese society ask for social cohesion. So a lot of people can be pressured to do shit they don't want to do. It doesn't make sense from an American perspective where you can't even convince the workers to do what they're being paid to do. You know, they'll be like, nah, that's not my job. It's like, no, actually that's literally your job. And they'll be like, nah, no. Too tired to invoke revolution. It's not even that. They've just been like mind fucked. It's like the national culture. It's not even like they're too tired to do revolution. They just can't be bothered. YouTube is recommending me videos made by a depressed 50-year-old Japanese salaryman. Yeah, I also get videos from some woman who's just living alone in an apartment in Japan. And they have like 1 million views and stuff. I think there's a shit ton of weebs who want to imagine themselves living in Japan. Shit, I fucking do this on the wrong goddamn layer. What are we gonna do? We just wasted 3 minutes here. Oh well, that's okay. Cucked by capitalism. If you're not part of the investment class, then we're all getting cucked by capitalism. Do you guys remember, like, I think it was around like 2015 or so, but some kind of economist published a study that showed that basically throughout history, wealth has shown to accumulate in the top 1% of people, and there were only like a few exceptions in which this was different, and it was just that historically the amount of money you could get by rubbing two coins together by lending money and getting interest was always going to be more than like doing work. And it seemed like one of those things that was like incredibly self-evident for anybody who was paying attention. But a shit ton of the rich people that rule the world got angry for this economist, like actually telling people the most obvious shit ever. And they're like, no, don't listen to him, guys. Don't listen to him. Why are you saying this? How do you feel about yami kawaii stuff? Unlike you, I'm not a weeb. So I don't spend all this time online Googling weird-ass Japanese terms. I assume this is like something similar to goth loli or some shit. Somebody said the quiet part out loud. Yeah, it's something that pretty much everybody sort of knows in their daily life, that having a shit ton of money and then just living off the interest is way better than, you know, having to work for your job. But he said the quiet part out loud, and a lot of the rich people were very unhappy about this, and they tried to like fucking disprove the study and shit. Did those wealthy people bowing him? No, only wealthy people pay attention to economic studies, so he didn't actually, despite saying the quiet part out loud, it didn't actually make any difference because, you know, poor ass people don't pay attention to that shit. I don't know. I don't think the Boeing people are actually getting assassinated. I think it's more coincidence. The truth is that the rich people don't really need to do drastic shit things like assassinating people to maintain their stranglehold on power and rich being rich and authority and shit like that. They're doing just fine without, you know, going out of their way to do stuff. The truth is that the masses are comfortable enough that they're not going to do any kind of revolution anytime soon, so... Still had to fly on a 737 during the trial, so Boeing does not care. I mean, Boeing might go out and actually start assassinating people if U.S. government was going to be like, no, you have to stop flying all these 737s with their stupid fucking software that's going to fucking crash the plane with no survivors. But nobody's making them do that, so I don't think Boeing is particularly worried. There are only like 1 out of 2 people who are making planes. And there's still, like, all of their planes are still booked till, like, 2030 or some shit like that in terms of, like, people buying new planes and stuff, so... It's not like they particularly have a ton of competition. I just feel like evil in America, or not even America, just humanity, the current version of humanity... is much more mundane than people going out of their way to assassinate whistleblowers. I think the evil takes a more boring format in which Boeing is allowed to crash not 1 but 2 fucking planes and get away with it because people can't be bothered to stop them instead of them having to kill people to prevent it. Like, I don't think you have to do like sinister specific shit like killing whistleblowers for evil to exist in the world, I guess is how I think about it. The real evil is Bezos cosplaying a cowboy in his free time. Has he been doing that? Hold on, I have to look that shit up to see if that's happening. Bezos cowboy. Oh, fucking God. Actually, he doesn't look that bad. It's okay. He still looks significantly better than Elon, honestly. This image of him reminds me of, you know, in Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark, there's that one Nazi guy who has the round glasses, and when he stares at the Ark of the Covenant opening, and his face like fucking melts or something. He reminds me of that image. I feel like he's like staring at some sort of forbidden architect, and it's like 5 seconds before his face is gonna start melting off and exposing his skull, which would be fucking awesome. Elon is such a low bar, my guy. Yeah, but it's the same category. Bezos has a villain laugh. I mean, mundane evil is Bezos having a multi-billion-dollar yacht and then having like a second yacht to support his first yacht. It's like cartoonishly silly levels of wealth, honestly. Also, it's evil that for every $5 you donate to me in subs, he gets half of it. Like, I don't even think that kings back in the day got to take like half of the crop that you produced. At least Jeff doesn't pretend to be hip with the kids. Bezos is just rich. He's not cringe. At least not cringe at the level of Elon. Elon is like legitimately cringe. That's what makes him so special and unique. Are Sony, Nintendo, and Microsoft evil too? I'll say that only Microsoft is evil. Sony and Nintendo are mostly just entertainment companies, and not particularly influential ones at that. Microsoft actually has a fucking monopoly on using computer software that you can't really escape, so it's way more annoying than Nintendo and Sony. Sony is grossly incompetent. Yeah, but incompetent is different from evil. Most large corporations are grossly incompetent. Microsoft is both evil and incompetent, which is like a special flavor. It's two great tastes that taste great together. Elon lives on Twitter, so cringe. I mean, you're burying the lead with that comment. Elon is so cringe that he fucking bought Twitter so he could live on Twitter so that people couldn't criticize him and hurt his feelings. And then when he was buying Twitter, he had to make a haha 420 so random weed number joke and then massively overpaid for the company. And now he's trying to salvage its value somewhat and fucking failing and making it worse as all the advertisers, his main source of income, run away from him because he can't not tweet some sort of racist meme every day. And then he's like, we have to charge extra money to people somehow and make money. I mean, it's a level of incompetence that's almost unrivaled. I can't even think of any other like rich people that are that level of incompetence. It's just sort of being able to maintain their own wealth. Microsoft can go choke on a dick for forcing Microsoft 11 on me. Keck W. She has to use Windows 11. Surely that will never befall me, as I can opt out of using the Windows 11 update. Surely Microsoft will not take away that option next year, in which I'll just wake up one day and realize that somehow my operating system has been upgraded to Windows 11 for free. You didn't choose to stay on 10. New laptop can pre-install with Windows 11. Yes. If you want to buy a new laptop, you're going to get Windows 11. There isn't any options. Just have specs that are too low to handle Windows 11 easy. Yeah. Never move on from Vista. That's the real way of doing it. Also, in 5 more seconds, we're going to get the person who's like, you should all install Linux right now. Trust me, it's so easy to use. You only have to install 5 different versions of Ubuntu to play your modded Skyrim. There, 5 seconds. Linux is the way if you aren't a gamer. Here you go. Yep. How do you pronounce it? Is it Linux? Linux? Lanix? Lonix? How many madmen are still on XP? All the Brazilians, I assume. Ligmax? I can't believe BaalBud has died from Linux. Like linen. Linux. See, we already have multiple people posting different shit in chat. Linux pronunciation.
Linux. Linux.
In Italy, it's pronounced Linux. I believe that's the correct pronunciation. That's Reddit, by the way. Is it pronounced Linux or Linux? Linux is pronounced as L-I-N-U-X. I-nix, since there is only one N, as we do. Thus, letter I is pronounced as long vowel E. Linux. See? There isn't any obvious pronunciation. It's a fucking made-up word. People should just give up on pronunciation. That shit is that's just gonna change depending on region and whoever has invented their new ass dumbass word. There isn't gonna be any obvious correct version of that. Install Chrome OS. No. Is there a Chrome OS for computers beside if you don't have a Chromebook? Honestly, I use Android, so I know Google is also a horrible, monopoly as well, but I definitely prefer Google over Microsoft at this point, I think. If I have a choice. They're all made up. All words aren't real. What was Jaden Smith's infamous quote? How can mirrors be real if our eyes aren't real? Is that the quote? How can mirrors be real if our eyes aren't real? Jaden Smith. Truly the most powerful of our modern poets. That man is a genius. You can install Chrome OSs. As long as I can keep Windows 10, I don't think it's a big deal for me, but eventually that will be expired on purpose. It is inescapable. Just install Debian or Ubuntu if you like hand-holding. See? Eventually there's always going to be the guy in stream who's like, I know you're too retarded to use the proper Linux operating system, but there's like 10 different versions of it, and then there's the retarded version, and you can use the retarded version. Trust me, it's also easy. I don't believe your shit for a fucking second. Whenever someone's like, trust me, this computer thing is easy, they're probably also like opening the run program shit, and it's just like, you can solve that problem if you just open up and type in C something something blah blah blah. I'm like, I don't want to do that, dude. I will use Linux when Intel ports over graphics control panel that lets me adjust brightness and saturation without fucking with the knobs on my monitor. Because I'm on a laptop. That shit could get specifically really bad. Linux. We just went over this. There isn't a correct pronunciation. Stop trying to correct me over your made-up fucking word. I asked me to show me how to install a music player, and he couldn't, LMAO. See, here's the thing. Like, half of the people who are like, use Linux, I feel like they get some amount of pleasure for being the smart tech guy who can use this operating system that all the dumbass sheep who have to use Windows 11, they're not like the sheep, they're special. But because I don't have that in my personality, I don't get whatever added benefit Linux users get. I don't actually think that it's actually that much better in any way. In fact, I'm sure it's pretty fucking worse. Also, I do want to play video games. I owned a Mac OS because my mother was a Mac person for a while. And I'm kind of done with not being able to play fucking video games. That shit sucks. I mean, I can't even play all the Japanese porn games from DL's site. Because I'm pretty sure they have some kind of Japanese text in their files. Ones that aren't using Unity have some sort of Japanese text in their files, and I can't fucking play them half the time. So I already have issues in playing video games, so I'm definitely not going to install some sort of Linux OS. Mac is terrible for games. Mac is basically terrible for conserving money, running anything besides like the shit that Mac wants you to use. Pretty much everything. It's more expensive, but it's not immune to all the problems that Windows has as well. I kind of feel like Nintendo and Mac are the same thing in terms of you have to pay more for less, and they're supported by like a huge cult of people who will defend their favorite corporation to the end. And as a result, everything gets to be fucking overpriced because the fanatic fanboys will never ever ask the corporation to, put something on sale. What's the appeal of a Mac? Sounds more like a restrictive version. It is. Back in the day, it was close to like the sort of it just works kind of feeling, but now I don't think it even has that. Some people just like getting their cock and balls being tortured, you know? Mac is sort of the version of that. You're paying extra for your cock and balls to get that torture feeling. Feels good, man. Get Tim Cook really crushing those testicles. Apple is being sued for conning people to believe iPhones are a better product by way of using the blue text box. Yes. And then like reducing performance on their side. So people are like, wow, this doesn't work as well. Everyone should own an iPhone. It's like, no, actually the iPhone is doing that. I stopped using Apple products when I had, I don't know, like an iPhone 4S, and it was working perfectly fine. And then like I had reached the mandatory period in which Apple was happy with me using the same phone, and it got one of those mandatory updates, and suddenly everything ran so slow it became immediately unusable, and I was like, oh, Apple just fucked me over. I had been using the phone too long, and they were like, no, it's time, you have to buy a new phone, motherfucker. And I was just like, you know what, you're right, I'll buy a new phone, I'll buy an Android, fuck off. That was sort of like the last straw in my relationship to Apple. There are no wires or weird complicated parts with an iMac. Yes, but there's also the joy of having to have a different charger every single generation because they keep on making new chargers and none of the chargers are compatible with each other. I don't know if they had this ad on the American part of the internet, but on the Japanese part of the internet, they actually had an ad where for an iPhone advertising the fact that the new iPhone uses the standard USB-C charger, and they were like, you can thank us for using the simple USB-C standard. And everyone online was like, are you fucking kidding me? People have been complaining about you not using USB standard shit for like years now, and now you're like, don't thank us, but you're welcome. It's like, are you fucking kidding me? I don't think they posted that shit in America, but Japanese Apple cucks are way more omnipresent for iPhones in Japan than it is for America, I think. I don't think anyone will shame you for having an Android phone in America, but I have heard multiple times in Japan from, females, and I mean that in the worst way possible, females being like, oh, I need to have an iPhone, because Kanako-chan has her iPhone, we all have to have an iPhone, so we have the blue text box. There's a reason why people are willing to pay 1,000 or more if it means they get to use a product they have been using and have gotten used to a simple ecosystem. Yeah. People aren't willing to learn new shit. When I switched from my Mac laptop to Windows laptop, there were a bunch of things that I found annoying, but I got used to it, so... I hope that as I grow old, I'm not going to become one of these people who absolutely 100% refuses to learn new shit. Was just like, no, I can't move on. I have to smoke the same brand of cigarettes. But unfortunately, I might. Old people are like that, so. Apple would be much more respectable if they just stuck to selling Retina displays. Honestly, I don't even like their extremely, high definition displays or anything. I don't really care about my images being super clean. It's not a high priority for me. Like all things, you have to actively force yourself. Exactly. You have to be willing with being uncomfortable. I don't think it's refusal to learn new things. They're just sick. I think it's refusal. I think it legitimately is just straight up refusal. They feel like they've earned the right to have shit the way they liked it when they were 14. And everybody needs to adjust to them. It's refusal. I think it's refusal. I think if you ask anybody that works at like a retirement home, they'd just be like, nah, they just refuse to learn new shit. Because they don't want to, because they want the rest of the world to adjust to them. Speaking of old people, I watched The Big Chill on Amazon Prime last night while drawing, of course. For those of you who aren't familiar with The Big Chill, it's often listed as like the quintessential boomer content movie. And just like I thought it would, it made me hate boomers even more than I already do. Whenever I feel like I can't hate boomers and boomer culture more, I always see something that makes me remind myself why I truly hate them so much and hate them. How my hate is never ending. There is no amount of hate that can describe the level of hate I feel toward boomers and them being like, we're the main characters of this story. What's it about? It's about a bunch of people who went to college together and tried to change the world, meeting again in their 30s and 40s and talking and shit. And then having sex, because of course they're boomers and they can't fucking help themselves. There are huge baby boomer geek communities who retire to in Manton of those places, old style culture ideals. Yes, and they all just spend every day playing golf. As someone who has worked with multiple people who refuse to learn new programs for work, it's straight up refusal. I forgot that this is literally Hystrixia's job. Her entire job is trying to convince, 70-year-old doctors that they need to learn how to use the new payment processing system because it's already been installed, and whether they like it or not, the the administration is moving to this system, and it's not really their choice to not use it, and then they're like, no, no, I'm not gonna learn it, no, no. They'll just be like, Hystrixia, do that for me instead every week. I can't learn it. Boomers benefited from normal fertility conditions without all the microplastics in their balls and ovaries. Actually, they didn't, because they had like DDT and stuff. They had a shit ton of stuff that was like giving them ovarian cancer, like the talcum powder and stuff like that. That's me and my dad using email. I can't complain about boomers not using email too much, considering I haven't checked my email in like a month and a half since I started working on this manga. I was just like, it doesn't matter. The boomers have lead. DDT, we're on wrestling now. I like the theory that the reason why crime rates have gone down is just because we started using unleaded gasoline, and the reason why people were killing each other in much higher rates in previous generations is just because everybody's brain was fucked up because there was so much lead in everything. Remember when kids rolled mercury around in their hands for fun? Wait, are you saying that I shouldn't be giving my kids big, cool balls of mercury to play around with and lick and stuff like that? Damn. I'm gonna have to take their mercury toys away from them. Timmy, stop drinking the mercury now. Remember when gas companies put lead in gas? I remember. It's pretty funny that we've known that lead is bad for us for like hundreds of years, considering we had like lead makeup, and women were just like straight up dying from all the makeup in their lead, or the lead in all their makeup, and then we're like, let's put some lead in our gasoline. Surely this will also not cause problems. It's like, yeah, you might be surprised to find out that this is not the case. I have to constantly reteach relatives how to use all the office stuff, email, WhatsApp, and utility apps. That's too many apps. I think Facebook, despite being completely irrelevant for younger generations, actually has a good thing going there. Because if they can just put everything on Facebook and just have Facebook like be the one thing that the boomers can use, then maybe they have like a future, at least until all the boomers die. Cheap modern candy. Lead put in Victorian food. The Victorians were too busy dying from syphilis, so they didn't get to the lead. Although lead affects you pretty fast. It might actually get to you faster than the syphilis, now that I think about it. Choose which you want to die from, guys. Lead poisoning or syphilis poisoning. I love my mom, but I've shown her how to close all tabs on her phone at least 20 times now. My mother isn't exactly tech savvy, but considering all the horror stories I hear from other people who have to deal with their parents being completely incapable of using anything, she's doing a pretty good job. Keep Facebook a containment board for boomers, like how Tumblr was a containment board for batshit crazy rainbow hair people. Yes. True. At least you need to have sex to get syphilis. I'm not sure about that. Can't you get syphilis from just like contact with just like general body contact? Do we have any syphilis experts in chat here? By the way, if you want to Google cool shit, just start Googling syphilis, late stage syphilis pictures, and you get to see people with like their faces melted off. It's pretty fucking hardcore, baby. Oh, fuck, you can? I don't know. But syphilis is not a thing of the past. Japan has like a huge syphilis outbreak right now, so fuck Japanese prostitutes at your own at your own risk, I guess. You can get syphilis through bodily fluids, but it's rarely outside of giving birth or having sex. Thank God I'm safe. As usual, female contact. Extremely dangerous. Like, can I just bang armpits instead? Don't make me start banning armpits in chat like I had to ban foot and futa. Pit bros stay winning. No, pit bros are not winning. Pit bros are not winning. They're not winning at anything. Just don't kiss your hookers and use condoms, guys. I'm just gonna wait until my fem droid. What's the word? Gynoid? Is that the word for the female sex droids? I'm just gonna wait for my robot waifu to be made. Elon will create one for me very soon, I'm sure. What did Futa do to you? Futa Kumars are extremely annoying because as soon as I draw a female, they'll be like, please draw her with a penis. They're always gonna just be like, wow, that's a really cute girl you just drew. But you know what would make her even cuter? If she had a really fat cock. And it's just like, it's time to ban you, my friend. You think I'm joking, but I'm not. It's, they're always like, haha, that was just a joke. I don't actually think you need to draw a futa cock, but we know that you're not joking. You're always like, haha, that would be crazy. The amount of futa AI porn is concerning. What I find especially annoying is that all the futa AI porn has cock and balls. It's not even futa, it's shemale, actually. It's extremely rare when I see futa AI porn where they can generate both the vagina and the penis. It's almost always a female body with like a cock and balls and no vagina. Which is a whole nother level of gay. I apologize on their half. Some of us can keep it to themselves, you know? So, futa is bad from that context, but there's a reason why feet are also banned, and that's because the feet kumars are even worse. They're even worse than the futa kumars. They're like, haha, you know what would be funny if the character you just drew wasn't wearing shoes. Haha, just kidding. Haha, show feet. Haha. They're like 5 times worse than the futa kumars. Because they think their fetish is safe for work and they can get away with people posting feet on stream, which makes them more aggressive in their desire to see Pokemon's feet. This makes them the ultimate public enemy #1 for people who are trying to stream, because they're like, haha, it would be so funny if you showed your feet on stream, haha. That won't get you banned, haha haha. Shotgun cock seems cool. Ram Lethal doesn't believe in shoes. I will make her wear shoes. She must learn to be a proper lady. Which means she must wear Reebok pumps. Dan Schneider was doing that shtick for years. What did Dan Schneider do? I've been getting YouTube recommendations for like Dan Schneider content. So he was like the producer for Nickelodeon for like 20 years or something, right? And was he a foot fetishist who's like, haha, wouldn't it be funny if you and underage Nickelodeon TV stars stepped on my face with your bare feet. That would be funny. Was he basically doing that? Basically, okay. Seems about right, pretty much. See, Dan Schneider isn't particularly important to me because our house didn't have proper cable, so I didn't watch any Nickelodeon growing up. So I really don't have any opinion on him or Nickelodeon as a whole. All I know is the slime that people played with that came in like the yellow container and stuff. That's about it. For a decade and a half, what a Chad. Wacky children shenanigans. That seems like a new word that we start using for, you know, child porn or something, that so that we won't trigger the FBI. Instead of cheese pizza, everyone's just gonna call it wacky children shenanigans. He literally had iCarly and his friend expose their feet directly to the camera. So it's like what Tarantino was doing in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, where he had like a one-shot 10-minute scene in which some sort of young female actress had her feet on the dashboard of the car for like 20 minutes. Tarantino was like, haha, this is a work of art. Even the Nickelodeon logo is a big foot. Is it? I thought it was like a splash or something. Nickelodeon logo? Oh, you're right. It is a foot. It had a foot version of it. The primary one is like the, you know, the slime splash version, but there is a foot version. That movie was awesome. I don't care what you say. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is a great fucking movie. I love it. It really sort of flipped my opinion on Tarantino because I was getting sick of his shtick with Hateful Eight, but I felt like it was a really great return to form. I didn't like any of the, what would you call it, his historical revision movies very much. They were okay, but I wasn't a huge fan of them until I got to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So that goes for Inglourious Bastards, Django Unchained, or Hateful Eight. I didn't enjoy any of those that much. They were all okay. They're better than like, you know, standard Hollywood movies, but Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was the one where I was really like, this is great. I fucking love this. I liked Hateful Eight though. Hystrixia, you can stop telling us that you like the most depressing version of whatever thing we're talking about, okay? You're kind of getting predictable. Every time there's like, you know, out of these 4 movies, one of the movies is like 3 hours long and it ends with everybody dying. You're always like, that's the one I like. It's like, okay, I get it. I get it. This is right up your alley. The one where everybody is trapped inside the lodge, the winter lodge, and they have to, oh, I guess spoilers, they end up killing each other. LMAO. Inglourious Bastards slap 3 hours of killing Nazis, Semitic revenge porn. Except it's not 3 hours of killing Nazis. It's a lot of set pieces where they do the Tarantino dialogue, you know? It's a lot of talking about like German cinema and shit like that. That's kind of what I liked about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, because like it goes straight at what Tarantino's hobbies really are, which is other movies. It doesn't beat around the bush trying to be something more than just like a film nerd shit. I just like murder mystery stuff. I can't even remember that there was a murder mystery in Hateful Eight. That's how little I actually cared about it. What was the murder mystery? I can't remember, man. I do hope that he makes more than like the 10 movies he said he was saying he was going to make in his lifetime. I feel like he has quite a few more ideas he can make movies off. Actual cabin owner was dead before they even got there, and the bandit siblings were pretending to be caretakers. Oh, that's right. There was a bunch of people underneath the floorboards. I remember that. Something like that. I like Channing Tatum, honestly. I feel like we need more Channing Tatum being evil content. Channing Tatum is way too talented for like the actual roles he gets. Like in Hail Caesar, where they like had an entire Channing Tatum dance scene where he was like in his sailor outfit and like dancing around in like classic 50s Hollywood style, whatever. Channing Tatum is peak himbo. The good part about Channing Tatum is he embraces his himbo-ness aggressively, which allows him to take all these cool himbo parts, like when This Is the End, he shows up as like the leather gay sex slave of what's his name, the comedy guy from Eastbound and Down. He doesn't take himself very seriously, which makes him a lot of fun. Happiness of the Katakuris is so much fun. I watched Happiness of the Katakuris and I can't remember what it's about at all. I usually remember movies that I've seen, but I think that was one of those movies where it's like just generally bizarre and I just forgot what it was about. I think Ichi the Killer is one of the few movies that made me feel nauseated. I own all the manga of Ichi the Killer, but I haven't seen the movie. I enjoyed the part of Ichi the Killer in which that person died. You know, the thing where the person did something and then they died in a specific way. I like that part. The manga is great. Honestly, at this point in my life, I'm kind of sick of shit where everybody just fucking dies. It's no longer interesting or dramatic to me. I find it both boring and depressing. That's why I kind of stopped watching Gundam, especially Tomino Gundam, but Gundam in general. I think there's too much Gundam in which it's like, and then a shit ton of characters die, and that makes it, like, profound in some way. I'm like, not really. Not really. Same thing for, like, shit like Warhammer 40k. Because I get so many Warhammer 40k requests for my Patreon requests. I sort of feel like I have to learn more about it. And there's all these YouTube channels that are just people talking about Warhammer 40k lore for, 2 hours on various subjects at a time. So I'm like, okay, this is good second screen content to have on in the background while I'm drawing. But then I actually start listening to it, and it just goes on and on about how everything is fucking awful. Average Warhammer 40k lore is just like, and in the maddening darkness of space, the only thing that powers the warp field of the Dark Elder is the tortured souls of the people they abduct. The only way in which we can fight against the Tyrannid menace is by, I don't know, enslaving people toward an endless life of misery. It's like, okay, I get the point. The videos are too slow, even consuming the 40k lexicanum. Can we get some Saint Booba? Warhammer always felt like an edgy kid trying too hard to sound epic. It does feel just like you're reading directly from some kid's notebook in middle school, doesn't it? And it's like, that's right. This is the fleet of the Empire. It's 50,000 battalions strong. And it spans the galaxy of thousands and thousands of light years worth of imperial expansion, blah, 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 blah. It's like, oh, that's so cool. You have these big numbers. Warhammer is overdue for a gay porn adaptation. I already did that joke, by the way. Don't suggest that. As a resident Toho tard, how many Toho requests do you get versus Warhammer requests? About the same, honestly. They're both similar fan bases, and I get about the same number of requests. Worst case scenario, it's the same person requesting Warhammer crossover content with Toho or something. Some person was asking me to draw Sigmar from Warhammer Fantasy as card captor Sakura, which is the general level of autism that you kind of expect from my fan base at this point, I guess. Toho fans busy consuming Toho doujins. Comic Head is like, surely this will be the year in which we don't have to prepare 500 acres worth of doujin space for the Toho fandom alone. Surely this will be the year in which there'll be fewer than 100,000 Toho doujins published. And every year it's like, no, it's still popular. Even though most of the porn has moved on to gacha stuff, in terms of like total doujins, the Toho stuff is still going way super strong. It just doesn't end. Toho has been declining since the 2010s, and the doujin output is now a fraction of the late 2000s peak. Yeah, except the 2000s peak was like half of every doujin. For one doujin published for Suzumiya Haruhi, there was like 6 Toho doujins. It was just an obscene amount of Toho doujins at every point. It was just crazy. Mei Ling was a sexual awakening. I can't be awakened sexually by all those dumbass costumes. Toho characters look too stupid. How the fuck am I supposed to jack off to that shit? It's ridiculous. It was half of all comic hit porn circles. And now they've all moved on to like FGO or Blue Archive or whatever the flavor of the month stupid ass gacha is. But honestly, I feel like Toho is just going to outlive all the gachas. At some point, the gachas will go out of style, but Toho will remain, even if it's in a diminished form. Toho's were prototype Genshin. Yeah, they both look stupid. FGO was like 10 years ago, though. There's still a shit ton of FGO porn, by the way. No, there's no way Mama Raiko will possibly get fucked by 800 goblins. Am I right, fellow FGO gacha enjoyers? I feel like the content that has truly died out, that was like top level content at the time, is Kantai Collection. The boat sluts are dying pretty quickly, I would say. They're being replaced by other forms of sluts, but the original boat sluts, Kantai Collection, are definitely on the down. You can't say Toho characters look stupid when you like that stupid skin-tight ninja shit. I most definitely can. The stupid skin-tight ninja shit is designed to give me a boner. The Toho shit is designed by a guy who can't draw, who thought that he had some sort of aesthetic idea of what women should be wearing. So he gave them all these weird kind of soft hats with frills on them. Literally every single Toho design is like weirdly colored dresses with fucking white frills. It's absolutely horrible character design. Horrible costume design. It's incredibly stupid. Toho people who don't think the Toho designs are stupid are just in denial. They've become too used to Toho that they don't even recognize when shit is stupid. Look up Zun teaches drawing? No, I think I will not. Spent $300 to pull Raiko. Not $300, 300 pulls on Raiko. I can't remember if that's more than $300 or less. How much is a 10 pull in FGO? Is it just like $1 per pull, or is it more? It's not that bad, right? Gotta be real with you. Ingrid's color scheme hurts my eyes. You're just too weak. It's less, but I was free to play. LMAO. Just gonna have to jack it to the less popular characters, I guess. Some people jack off to literal clowns, so some people jack off to like inanimate objects that don't even vaguely look like human beings. That's not a good basis. There is no floor to the limits of what people are willing to jack off to. If you think you've reached the basement level, no. There's still farther down to go. Because you can always reach just like genuine mental illness, where people are looking at the mirror and jacking off to their own reflection and stuff like that, so... People will fuck literal cars. I think, and that's not even as low as it can go. It can keep on go farther and farther down. Backpack cuck anon. Floor tile anon. I had a manager who had a picture of himself as desktop wallpaper. Actual schizo behavior right there. Like, that person probably has some sort of narcissistic personality disorder. Actual psychopath? I mean, it feels like it, right? It's hard to say if they're an actual psychopath, but they definitely have some sort of weird personality disorder if they want to just look at their own photo every day. There's a fine line between Schizo and Giga Chad. I'm not sure this Giga Chad looks at photos of himself all day, though. I feel like the Giga Chad would be... He'd just have like a random selfie of whatever girl that he fucked last night. Just be sitting on his desktop being like, yeah, I keep on telling the bitches to stop sending me all these photos of themselves naked, but they don't listen. What can you do? I feel it would be disrespectful if I didn't have a picture of her naked body on my desktop. I called a coworker out on doing that, and their excuse was so people knew it was their phone if they lost it. LMAO. That's the excuse I use when I explain why I have a giant horse cock on my phone. It's like, yeah, nobody else has a horse cock on their phone, so... It's not because I want to look at a horse cock all day. Trust me, sir. Oh yeah, 5 minutes, yes. Incorrect spelling. At least it's easy to check that shit. You can point out spelling errors. At least. Minutes. Is that correct spelling? I believe it is. Maybe not. Unfortunately, Clip Studio Paint text does not have automatic spell checker, unlike everyone's favorite Microsoft Word. Also, everybody who pointed out that spelling was incorrect is going to get permabanned. If I was a king and somebody complained about some of the policies I was putting on the kingdom, I'd be like, thank you for your helpful advice. I appreciate your criticism, and we're going to enact your suggestions. And now I will execute you for insulting my authority. It's okay, you are a product of the US education system, people understand. I give you a challenge. Try writing a page of text by hand with pencil and see how many spelling mistakes you actually have. Because I'm pretty sure it'll be pretty fucking a lot. I think everybody's used to autocorrect at this point. The truth is, you can read English text even if the spelling is incorrect. And a lot of time people don't even notice that the spelling is incorrect. The people who are reading it, including myself, who is doing the proof checking. Some of my university teachers force us to do that when handing in essays. It's going to be like that even more so going forward because of ChatGPT. They're going to just make you write your essays in class because too many people are just going to be fucking... If you allow them to write their essays at home, they're just going to be outsourcing all their work to ChatGPT. Or their Chinese essay writer who's getting paid $5 an hour or whatever. Why use many word when few enough? I think there was some sort of study where they just changed the order of the letters inside the words, and if the first and last word or the first and last letter of the word were correct, people just sort of auto-corrected the spelling in their brain, and most of the people reading it didn't notice that all the letters in the middle of the word were jumbled up. Which shows you us how our brain works about spelling and stuff. We're sort of already anticipating the next word before we actually read it, and we don't need to read the letters inside. It also explains why ChatGPT and these language models work, because we have like a preconceived idea of what the next word's gonna be, you know? $5 an hour is grossly overpaying. It's probably like 2 cents per page or some shit. It only stumps people if they don't read ahead. Yeah. You can't read fluidly without pattern prediction. For people who are like, I can't read the Japanese kanji characters, it's very similar to reading misspelled words in English. You sort of just skip over the fact that you can't actually read the kanji because you sort of know what the kanji is based on the context. There's like a shit ton of kanji that I skip over and I can still understand the context of what's actually going on. So it's actually, you know, it's similar, English and Japanese, and like probably most languages. You just like understand the pattern recognition and shit. And you understand the context. Even your PC predicts disk reads and looks ahead. Yeah. I feel like there's some sort of crazy encryption or like some sort of money-making opportunity here if we ignore pattern recognition in some way. But I'm not smart enough to exploit it. Speed reading is a very particular thing in Japanese. It's not really speed reading that I'm talking about. There's just like a shit ton of characters you can't read, like you don't know what the pronunciation of it is, that you don't really worry about how you read it in terms of pronunciation, because like you know the meaning of the characters, and sometimes you don't even know the meaning of the characters, you just are judging from context. But it's very similar to in English where you don't know the spelling and it doesn't really bother you. Why would you even wear your armor? The American education system also teaches arbitrarily capitalizing words mid-sentence. Yeah, English is, it's pretty wacky, which is why we should all start using Esperanto, said the 5 people in the world who speak Esperanto. Japanese depends a lot on context, yes, but I would say that all languages depend a lot on context. You just don't notice it because you're so used to your native language and reading it in the context to begin with. You don't notice how context dependent your language is until you probably learn another language and you don't understand the context. But Japanese is way more context dependent than English, I would say. As someone who had to translate a lot of Japanese to English. Like, you can write entire sentences without stuff like the subject, object, noun, verb. You can leave out huge amounts of information and still have a quote-unquote complete sentence, which is fine if you're reading it in Japanese, but then when you actually have to translate that shit, you're like, actually there's a ton of information that's left out here that people don't actually know what's going on. Learn Spanish? No. Spanish is not going to be that helpful professionally unless you want to work as like a border patrol in America. Because like you're never going to have like a Spanish translator job, or if you're looking for it, you have to fight with like 800 other candidates who can all speak Spanish and English. Because like, you know, half of the population is going to be Latinos going forward, right? Spanish is consistent as fuck, though. I'll tell you what's consistent. Your mother. When I was fucking her last week. Unlike English, we do follow our own writing rules. For example, English has writing rules. It's just that they have a shit ton of exceptions. Japanese has very little writing rules. Especially when it comes to like reading stuff, like reading character names and shit. Like place names. How to read the characters of place names is just like an absolute fucking nightmare. Like you straight up place and people names. You straight up can't translate that shit because there isn't any sort of fast and hard rule about in what situations you read some things and how you read other things. What part of randomly assigning genders to words is consistent? Yeah, there's just a shit ton of stuff in language where there isn't any like hard and fast rules and you just have to memorize shit. And if you're just complaining about memorizing shit, then you can't learn the language. Japanese ha versus ga is still distressing to me. If we have any Japanese learners in chat, try putting a sentence in the chat and I'll tell you how if it's correct or incorrect. Give me your best shot. I'll tutorial you in real time. Japanese, Spanish speakers are trad and base. They don't believe in that gender neutral stuff. That goes the same for French and German and stuff, right? Das, der, what's the third one? D. Those are the three ones. I took some, like 1 year of German in high school because it was mandatory. Das is my favorite one, obviously. It sounds the best. Deutschland. Deutschland. Du hast nicht. Das ist true, ja! It will never stop being funny that ambulances in Germany have the word Krankenfahrt on the side. Feels good, man. Those silly Germans and their silly words. You like Rammstein? I used to be super into them back in high school. No, I don't like Rammstein. I don't like German culture, to be honest. I just complained about shit being too depressing, so that should basically explain why I don't like German culture. If I'm complaining about Warhammer 40k being too depressing, imagine my response to, like, anything German, where it's just like, yeah, and then they all get killed. It's fucking brutal. Kafka bros. Was Kafka German? I thought he was like Austrian or some like German sub-state or something. Franz Kafka. Yeah, he was German. Bohemian Jewish novelist. The German plus Bohemian plus Jewish plus novelist combo is just asking for the most depressing shit possible. Even his face just looks like somebody who is in constant distress and anxiety. Kafka's Czech. It says writer from Prague. Was Prague Czech? Prague, Kingdom of Bohemia, Austria-Hungary. Krostenberg, Lower Austria. Occupations: novelist, short story writer, insurance officer. Insurance officer, also a pretty fucking depressing job right there. I like the Franz Kafka story in which there's a horrible amount of psychological distress and the main character is very unhappy. And bad things happen. I like that one. Didn't know you streamed though. Literally, there's always like some person who shows up and stream and says that, which shows how little people actually check my shit on Twitter, and what percentage of people are checking my stuff on like the Damboru and stuff like that. Considering I fucking post I'm streaming every single time I stream. Don't use Twitter. Nobody wants to fucking use Twitter at this point. I really need to start figuring out where I should be like posting shit besides Twitter and Pixiv. Pixiv isn't particularly helpful at this point either. I wish there was just like one artist location, but there isn't. Is this lounge music? Yes. Star your stuff on YouTube? Yeah. This will be on YouTube as well, ultimately. Blue Sky is apparently getting pretty popular. Not popular enough, unfortunately. Gonna have to be more popular than that. The thing is, I don't want to post art content for other art people. I want to post art content for like casual users. So be a boomer and go back to DeviantArt. I'll just go wherever the Japanese artists go. And for now, that's still Twitter, unfortunately. Fuck Instagram. I'm not doing Instagram. Also, it's not going to be a format that works for shit like manga. Ugh. Instagram is good for exposure, but not for the art itself. I'll just post my art on Instagram, but also make sure that I have my fat tits and ass in the picture frame so I can get the thirst trap. Gotta compete with those thoughts. At least Newgrounds has a strict anti-AI policy. I'm not sure to what degree AI affects people's engagement with your artwork, honestly. Because, like, Pixiv, for example, has a bunch of AI shit being uploaded, but it also has, like, a million, you know, bad artists uploading as well, so is it really going to be that different? I'm not sure. Miski, it's basically only Japanese users though. Yeah, I don't know. I still don't see like a great option besides Twitter at this point. That's the truth. Even though it keeps on getting progressively worse somehow. I say somehow as if it's some fucking mystery. It gets worse because Elon's making it worse, because he has to fiddle with shit, because he wants to feel like he's doing something when he does absolutely nothing besides promote his stupid ideas for Cybertrucks. Elon recently made sure he was pumping into crypto again. I'm surprised that Elon isn't trying to sell his own cryptocurrency on Twitter. Like pumping and dumping, rug pull, that shit. Like, it feels like it would be just right up his alley. You'd think by now he would have just been like, buy the Tesla crypto coin or whatever. And then all the dumbasses were like, oh! Oh my god! Elon Sama is publishing a crypto coin. Get that crypto drop. Ah, I mean, that's basically what he did with Doge. Talk about just an entire thing that was supposed to be the future of the planet or whatever, crypto, and it's just like a fucking energy inefficient scam device. I've complained about this before, but basically all the new technology that's supposed to be changing the world is basically only being used as for scams, whether it's AI or crypto or NFT or whatever. They're all just scamming tools. The people that are criminals or quasi-criminals are the ones who are adopting the technology, and everybody else is just like, actually, this isn't really good at all. Insert one X coin to start your Tesla. Yeah, I'm surprised they haven't done that as well. That seems like pretty much up his alley. Alright guys, I'm gonna end the stream here. Oh, crypto NFTs are just continuing the money laundering aspect of fine art collection. Feels good, man. Please buy my NFTs. I don't have any, but surely it's not too late for me to get in the NFT market, am I right? See you around, guys. Good night. This will almost be done soon. It'll show up on Patreon and YouTube. I have to send this this shit to start setting the completed pages to Solus so he can finish the dubbing and start posting that shit. See you around. Good night.